All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Live Courageously podcast show, number 14 of 2022. So, this show started when I got this strong feeling or urge one night to start a podcast show when I was up in Calgary, kind of filming up a feature film, Left Behind. And so I felt this strong need to share the stories of some of the amazing, courageous friends that I'm honored and know and have in my life. So I chose the title of Live Courageously because that has been the conscious theme of my life for the last 2 years since the beginning of the pandemic in 2020. And it's also, I guess, been an unconscious theme for most of my life. And if you haven't seen the previous 13 podcasts that I've done with some of my amazing friends sharing their powerful stories of overcoming all odds and going on live to live their best life, you can watch them on my Live Courageously YouTube channel. I recommend you check them out. Binge watch them if you got nothing else to do. It's better than Netflix, and really it is. But and also you'll get a free dose of inspiration and courage. So interestingly, since I started this podcast show in 2022, I keep meeting and becoming friends with some even more courageous people to have on the show in the future. So stay tuned to meet some of the great people in my life every week. And I've now pivoted to doing the show twice on Sunday. So I do a 2 o'clock and I'll do a 4 o'clock because I just got too many friends that I have to introduce to you. So it's just going to take, I got to do more shows. So there we go. This show, what is it about? It's about faith over fear. I believe fear is just a reaction, but courage is a choice. And I suggest that you need to consciously choose courage to get through life and to deal with what life may throw at you in the future. And there's many types of courages. And I'd like to share 6 types that I've come across from a post online. And those are physical courage, social courage, moral courage, emotional courage, intellectual courage, and spiritual courage. There's all different types of courage. Sometimes it's big, sometimes it's small little moments of courage that get you through the day or get you through an experience. So I just encourage everybody to adopt the spirit of courage in the face of any and all fears. And so today, let me introduce you to my guest and friend, Renee Reich. And Renee has cultivated and inspired individuals and teams for over a decade. You immediately feel her energy when she enters a room. And I can testify to that because when I first met her, I felt that smile, that energy, that passion that came from her. So I have to attest to that. And after over 25 years of working in corporate America, Renee decided it was time to hang up the corporate ladder. She started her professional training and speaking as an instructor at WHW, Women Helping Women, a nonprofit organization where she donated her time helping the unemployed and underemployed find and keep their jobs. Renee has received numerous awards over the years for bringing her teams to the #1 position. Both her years and experience in the corporate world have taught her that in order to move the bar and increase profit, you must invest in people. And that's a point I think is really, I would echo that point, invest in people. And after suffering a devastating illness that took away her voice, then a few years later, she had the loss of her best friend and then the loss of her father. And in the middle of that, Renee decided to follow both of their examples to never give up. And she'll be sharing that story with us today. So now that legacy is how Renee has chosen to live her life and help others, showing them that just when they feel life is closing in on them or closing in on you, there's always a way out. So today, Renee is a 4 times #1 best-selling author of Finding Your Voice, and speaker and transformational mindset coach, and a creator of the VOICE or Voice Blueprint. She works with those suffocating in silence to find their true voice so they can express themselves with confidence and go from surviving to thriving. Renee is a recipient of the All Woman Rock OC in California 2019 award, a recipient of All Authors Rock 2020, and a recipient of the Red Blazer of Excellence and Achievement Award, recipient of the Big Heart Global and Humanitarian Award 2021, and the Message in a Bottle Award for sharing her message of love and using her voice to educate, inspire, and empower women around the world. Renee has also received the 2021 Humanitarian Award from All Women Rock and the 2021 WAW Honorary Award, Women Appreciating Women Hall of Fame. So I would like to, at this moment, and before I do, I just want to put up Renee's book for you to see it. This is a copy of her book, Finding Your Voice. Well, it's three copies of it. Because if one ain't enough, you can buy three and share two with friends. So let me welcome my friend and our guest today, Renee. Welcome, welcome. Great to see you, Renee.
John, it is literally an honor and a pleasure to be here. I know people say that all the time, but it really is. I truly am honored to be here and share our voices together today. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. I usually start the show and I'll do it like I usually do. I start the show out with two questions from my guests. And the first one is, do you remember the first time we met and where that was?
Okay. Yeah, yes. It was in LA. It was, yes, it was at Ryan Long's. He had guest speakers
Uh-huh.
coming up. You and I were sitting at the same table, and I'm literally having a flashback right now of that, like where I was sitting and where you were sitting. I know exactly where I was sitting. You were sitting across from me, and we struck a conversation. Of course, I couldn't help but hear your accent. Like I don't have one either. By the way, I don't have
Wait,
one either.
you mean my California accent?
And mine too. My California accent as well. It takes one to know one, my friends. And
Yes.
and so I honed in on that as soon as we said boo to each other. And we started talking. My parents are from the East Coast. I'm from the East Coast, but you're from the South Bronx, and my parents are both from there. My dad is watching over from heaven, I'm sure, and my mom shortly after this live interview. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I do remember with City Gala, and it was, I'm like yourself. I go through a lot. I go through a lot of different events, groups, tribes, things that I belong to, and you know, in the field of transformation and inspiration, motivation, that was something that kind of connected us. We both ended up there. And the one thing I say, and this may be true for you as well, when you attend all these things, you meet a lot of people, so many people. But there's some people you connect with, and the connection goes, and you stay in contact with because of that connection. And like I said, when I introduced you, I mean, your smile, your energy, your passion, came across, and that's something that just kind of clicked with me. And so obviously, we got to know each other. We got to then attend other events together and see each other again and again over time. So it was a pleasure.
Uh,
Definitely a good connect to be made in life.
Thank you so much, John. Back at you. Absolutely. And I do want to say, I mentioned Ryan Long. He is no longer physically with us, but what he brought to everybody in the humanity that he brought forth and all the different events that he ran will always, it's part of his legacy, will always be a fond memory for me. And it was because of the connection that he brought us together, that he had those events, and so many other people that I had the honor and pleasure of meeting in my own journey. So I am just grateful to him for that and so much more. So
Yeah, and I met a lot of great friends for life through those events as well. So
yes.
the next question I ask for you, Renee, is the other one is, what does living courageously mean to you? And I have a quote that I saw from you, but I just throw it at you first, and then if I need to bring that up or share that, I will. Go ahead.
Okay. Uh, I do my own quotes now. Back in the day, I was taking other people's quotes. I'm like, I got my own. I'm putting my own in. I do quotes every day, inspirational and motivational quotes. Living courageously is, I say this, actually, it was a quote that I put today. It was like stepping out of your comfort zone and into your confidence. And I think, not I think, I know, courage and confidence. I literally just did a workshop on this on Friday. So the timing of this interview, I didn't know this question was going to be here. But that's the universe, right? It lines up when it's meant to line up. And with courage, you find confidence. And living courageously, I think, goes hand in hand exactly with that. Because when you step out of that comfort zone, I call it the uncomfortable comfort zone, because we get comfortable in a place that we really shouldn't be in because we know what we have. We don't know what's ahead of us. So we stay in that comfort area. But living courageously, to your point, is stepping out, like dipping that toe in the water and going, what if? What if I did that? And
Well,
thinking about what
I'm going to ask you about that. This is the quote I saw today when I was doing a little homework for the show, and I'll put it up there. Through courage, you find confidence,
Yeah.
and that's what you were just talking about. And it is courage. I think to me, why I started the show. I think living courageously is something that people need now more than ever. Not that we didn't need it before, but I think as things get more complicated and more difficult in life, courage is that one thing, that choice that you make, that no matter what life throws at you, you're going to find a way. Like you mentioned, and in your bio when I was reading it, you find a way. And so to tell that, you have a lot of examples of that in your life. And let's start with the first one for me, is when you left the corporate world. That was a step, and you stepped into that nonprofit. That was a step out of the uncomfortable comfort zone, as you suggest, and a step forward into taking a step into the unknown and who you wanted to be, and finding. So why don't you share that with folks about, when you were there, how you made that decision, how did it feel being that uncomfortable and yet still finding the courage to step forward and recreate yourself. So maybe you can take us on that journey.
Yeah, well, it wasn't as easy as that may sound to some, as far as just making that decision to do it. I didn't have to consciously make that decision. It was made for me, and I'm going to explain why and how. It's when I was in that corporate role, and it was in 2013. I'm going to go back a few years, and I was taking care of everybody else except for that girl looking back at me in the mirror. So concerned and so consumed with making sure everybody else was happy but me, because I had so much responsibility in corporate America that I didn't put myself first. I put myself last. And I know this saying, and so many others out there, that you can't pour from an empty cup, for those that don't know that saying. Also, you can't see the forest from the trees. All of those things you can't see outside the picture from inside the frame. Every one of those things are true, because I was in each of those quotes. I was literally in each of them. I couldn't see what was happening outside of myself because I was so involved from within. I couldn't be the objective person and say, you need to stop this behavior. You're going to, get hurt along the way. It's not serving you. It's not helping you. I didn't see that. All I saw was what was literally in front of me. And that was people that I was responsible for. And I wanted to make sure they were taken care of. My best friend watching over me, she got so angry with me. And she would say, you got to slow down. And I said, no, I have to do this. I have to do that. What I had to do was to listen to her and slow down. Because what good are you to anybody in this life if you are not there for yourself? And that's not being selfish. That's setting healthy boundaries so you can pour in from the overflow of your own cup.
Well, so true. It's like that thing when you're on the plane and they tell you, if you have to, you put on the oxygen thing first before you help somebody else. But you're right. You have to take care of your physical health. You have to take care of your mental health, your emotional health, all those things, so you can be more, do more, give more. But if you're not taking care of yourself, then you're not in a position to do all those things. You're kind of, you're emptying yourself out rather than refilling yourself. So, but like you said, you and maybe you can just explain a little deeper. You said it wasn't as easy to make that decision, and it was kind of made for you, but yet somehow, and I'd like you to kind of take us a little, and then take us into that experience when you started to work with that nonprofit and you started to help women who were in need of skills, in need of survival economically, and needed somebody to mentor them, coach them, teach them. Take us a little bit on those two pieces of your journey.
Absolutely. So first, before that part of the journey, I was in the corporate America. I was released in 2017 from that 25-year career, which I thought I was going to just end up there. 25 years. It's a quarter of a century of my life. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. This is where I'm going to stay. The company took a different turn, and people in my position were all released, but we didn't know who was, because we were all trying to stay afloat and, doing that doggy paddle as fast as we could. And we didn't really look at anybody else. We were so concerned with what was actually going on. And once I was released from that position, I said, what am I going to do? I didn't know. And in the losing of my voice, I want to say that because people are probably saying, how'd she get it back? I mean, I physically lost my voice while I was in corporate America. I was told I may never be able to speak again. That was a big piece of, before we jump to the other part of it, I want to make sure people understand this part of the journey, because that's the integral part of it.
So take us a little deeper on that, Renee. How did that happen? What was it? Did you ever find out? How did it take us through that losing your voice? Because you're later going to take us to the book of finding your voice.
Yes.
Take us through the losing your voice period and what that and how it affected you on every level.
Sure. Thank you, John. So it was when I was in that part of my journey, it was the LOA at that time was not law of attraction. It was a leave of absence in corporate America. That's what LOA stood for when I was in the corporate world. Now it's law of attraction. And I was literally laying behind the four walls of heck, if I won't say, well, it wasn't pretty. And I fell into a very deep depression during that time because, as you know, John, and you said in my bio, I am like the vibrant people person. I just really I love being with people. It's like water to a plant. People are to me. I thrive when I'm with them because I love interaction and engaging with them. I was taken away from that. So I was like dehydrating from life. And it was very painful. I did have sores all over my vocal cords. And that was the physical part of the pain, the physical, emotional, and mental. Physically, because of the sores that attacked my vocal cords. And I say attack because it wasn't an attack. It was a physical attack on my vocal cords. I've never felt or experienced anything like that in my life. And doctors couldn't help me. They ended up taking 20 vials of blood in 3.5 months.
Wow.
And try to figure out, peel back the layers of the onion. What is wrong with her? Why can't we help her? It would have been great if they said, here, take 2 pills and call me in the morning. Let's, take this for 10 days and we'll check back and see how you're doing. That would have been wonderful. Sure. It wasn't like even gargling with salt water. That, none of that, because it was a viral infection. And as we know from this time of this interview, during the COVID crisis, that it's a viral infection. They can't just say, take 2 of these, take this for 5 to 10 days, and, we'll see how you're doing. So They kept sending me in for more blood work. I couldn't pick up the phone because I had no voice, but it was always the doctor's office saying, go for more blood work. I'm like, what more can they take from me? I was like withering away. I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink. I couldn't swallow my own stuff. So it was painful in many ways. I don't want to stay on that point. What I want to say, I want to bring the audience to that, to understand where I was to where I am now, and not to suffer in that pain, but from your struggle comes your strength.
Right.
From obstacles come your opportunities. And I didn't realize any of that at the time I was going through it. But I also know when you're brought through something so painful, there's a purpose, and my purpose is far greater than me. And it's to serve, as you said also in my bio, those suffocating in silence to expressing their true voice with confidence. And when you have that courage and confidence, as we're talking about, living courageously, you're able to step into a part of you didn't even know existed. Because you weren't the same person. You aren't the same person today as you were when you went through that part of your journey.
Renee, all that is so true. And then the other piece of it is, like you said, you didn't know that while you were going through it. You didn't, but I think for people who are going through stuff, and people you coach and people you talk to and people we come across in life, it isn't that you get from there to the other side without its steps. Sometimes they're baby steps. They're little bits of knowledge. It's just like people are so used to being looking at social media, which I say, we see all the good on social media, all the accomplishments that we do. That's what we share, but we don't see the steps that we go through, the pain that people go through, the suffering to get from where they were to where they are now. And you go, wow, you do all this? Yeah, it looks good, doesn't it? But what about all that steps? And that I think people sometimes need to hear, because it's a little, if you're on step 1 and you're seeing people who are on step 100, it's a little depressing. How the hell do I get to step 100? I'm on step 1.
Okay, John, I don't know, and I don't think you did see this, because this is again on point. My quote that I did yesterday was exactly what you're saying today. I put it in my stories and I posted it yesterday on social. It was that somebody else's REEL is not REAL of life. The real that you are seeing is not the real in reality.
Right.
We're seeing their highlight reel.
That's right.
Exactly what you said. I mean, this is we couldn't have planned this better if we tried. I know you didn't. I know you
did not see this. We didn't make this.
I know.
But
I
you're
know.
right. That's keep going with that.
I'm like, I know you didn't see because I didn't see your name on the people that saw the post. That's what I'm saying. That we're so, John. This is us. We're very aligned. It doesn't matter if we talk or see each other. When you're aligned with people, you have your tribe. It just is. It doesn't have to be a certain time or whatever. It is the right time and space. So amazing. Yeah, but it's very true that people aren't going to post all the stuff they're going through, that woe is me stuff. They want to say, hey, look at me. Look at me, follow me, look how wonderful everything is. It's like, do you have any idea the stuff that it took to get there, or the behind the scenes of maybe the struggle that they're actually going through? My friend on Twitter, and I was on a Clubhouse room with her yesterday. I popped in because I saw her and I know she was going through something. So I only did it to check in on her, and we ended up having this room together where I was moderating with her. Wasn't the intention. When you go to check in on someone, you never know what's going to happen. And she had done a poll about people's, and it was actually for women, and their biggest opportunity that they're looking for it's for business women. And I know this is for men too. And they said courage. Courage.
Wow.
I know. It was like 43.9 out of like 105 people responded to that poll. And she's got a huge following. I'm surprised it was only 105 that responded. Maybe it was a shorter amount of time that she did it. I don't know. But even still, the fact is, in that amount of time, 43.9, it was courage. That they're not going to say, this, I'm nervous about this, or I have a lot of trepidation around that, because you're not going to put yourself out there and say that. Nobody wants to say that. This scares the crap out of me, or I'm afraid to do this because I don't know what people are going to think or say or judge or fill in the blank about me, and then you're afraid to say it. And I never spoke up in the way that I should have. I'm not going to say I didn't use my voice. I was in charge of multi-million-dollar teams. I definitely needed to speak. I was coaching and training and developing. But I was for them, not for the person who needed it to grow myself in the way that I needed to grow in another way. Yes, I was managing and directing and doing everything I needed for the teams as well as corporate. In the corporate world, I was helping them. So I did all those things I was supposed to do. And what you need to do is sometimes take a step back so you can propel further in life. And something I'm going to say that I don't talk about very often. I'm actually sharing this on my page. I didn't share the very beginning because I was trying to find it on my page. That hopefully people can go back to the very beginning of this. And I was actually bullied in school. I don't think you even know about this. No. And yeah, I was quite young, and it was probably junior high school area. And junior high school time, I'm thinking that was around the age I was at. And it was a very tough time. I'm going to say the reason I'm bringing that up, because this is about living courageously, and I'm talking about finding your voice. I didn't speak up then. I didn't speak up when I was bullied. I was pushed in the hall. I was kicked under the desk. It wasn't fun at all. Nothing about it. It sent me to a not a good time. And why didn't I speak up about it? Why didn't I say anything? As a young girl, I was the girl carrying my books on my chest and walking in the hallway and just being pushed and shoved into lockers. And I didn't speak up because I was like, there's more of them than me. What did I do wrong? I even went back in my memory and what did I do wrong? It was nothing. There's those bullies in school.
Sure.
Guys, girls, whatever, they're bullies. That's how they were trying to gain their own confidence. That's their own journey. That's not the way you live and you gain confidence in life, by pushing others around, whether it's verbally or physically. That's not the way to make yourself puffed up and feel better. Indeed. And that wherever those people are now, I don't know where they're at. They're not in my life right now, thank goodness. But I go back in my mind and think, about this and finding my voice. I think losing it was when I was a young girl, when I didn't speak up then. And then, in the corporate world, when I didn't speak up when I was supposed to speak up, I was always that people pleaser, wanting to make everybody else happy. And I didn't care that maybe I wasn't as happy, but somebody else was. That's not the way to live life. That's not living courageously. That's not speaking your voice or setting boundaries.
So for you, Renee, you had that period where you experienced loss of your voice, loss of your friend, loss of your father. So you experienced loss, and then in it, you mentioned about how you modeled them to get through and not give up and not. So share that, because we're talking about somebody at step one in a way that maybe not step one, but you were at a step where you had loss, physical loss, emotional loss, friends and family loss.
Yes.
And yet you had to step forward, and that took courage to step forward. And it wasn't an easy, and you didn't have to. Some people don't, unfortunately. Some people retreat and go back into, and their life becomes limited, and they go into that and they stay in that place because they don't have the ability to, or make the choice to go forward, even though it hurts, even though they're in pain, even though they don't know what to do. It's like, I don't know what to do, but I'm going to go forward anyway. So tell us your experience, your lessons. And I know you share that when you speak and you write, but share it with our audience a little bit.
Something I want to add to that. My mom and I were, again, you didn't know this. You were not here yesterday. I know you weren't here. My mom and I were having this conversation last night about this. Amazing, John. Your questions are like so incredibly on point. And it was about the courage, and in finding that, the courage and the confidence. We're talking about having the courage first, and that helping you gain the confidence in stepping into the things that you think you can't do. That quote from Eleanor Roosevelt, which I actually had put in my book, and I'm going to actually read it. We're going to share about that in a minute and answering your question. And sure. It was, hold on, I want to get it because I want to get it right. It is, you gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You must do the thing you think you cannot do. So what I will say, and you asked the question about my dad and my best friend and where I was at with that, the courage, it was somebody else, my best friend, really believing in me and being there for me when I was taken out of society. I was literally taken away. I was locked away for about 4 months because I was told you are no longer allowed to be with the public because I was so contagious. She used to come up my stairs with a mask on. Again, pre-COVID, she got it. She knew I was so contagious. She also knew that I wasn't taking care of myself. She also knew that I wasn't going to be okay if somebody didn't come and help me because she knew me. And so she would come and deliver food to me and things she thought I could try to muster down. I could barely swallow my own saliva, but she knew I needed help. And when you surround yourself with people that are there for you, unconditionally love you, no matter what, that's when you begin to find your own voice and you start believing in you. Because we don't often see in ourselves what others see in us.
Wow. So did you, at that point, thanks to her unconditional love for you, did that start to give you that dose of what you needed to start stepping forward? Was that part of your journey, part of your process at that point?
Definitely. Definitely she was. I feel my emotions coming up.
I can see, yes.
I'm not going to apologize for that because it's real. I say real, raw, Renee. This is life. Right?
Don't do that.
No, I'm not going to. She's always going to be a part of my life. She transitioned in 2017. As I said, my dad was 2018. And he was always a little tough on me.
It's okay.
I know.
Go with your feeling, Renee. Take your time. Take your time.
What I will say is his being tough on me was also his way of loving me and showing me that I was capable of things that I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
He comes from the corporate world as well. And I followed his footsteps going into sales. And I miss him very much every day.
Well,
He was also a sensitive one, so he'd be crying too. I'm not
well,
blaming you, Dad. Don't worry, I'm not blaming you. This is
hey,
me. This is not you.
I'm cool with crying. I do it when it's always needed. And the thing is, what you're saying, Renee, is those people, those moments that touch you, and even if you sometimes don't fully, you may appreciate it, you may have known that he loved you, you may have, but you may not have known it as much as you later get to realize, and then realize the positive impact it has for you as you learn those lessons, and you realize that it's that is, they want more for you, and that's part of love, and it may not exactly be the way you expected it all the time. But that was there for you, and is always there for you going forward, because you have that memory, that experience, and it's always in you, it's always in your heart. I know if I've had those moments too, and some of the darkest moments have been the moments that have propelled my life forward to the life I have. And if I didn't have those dark moments, it wouldn't have happened. If I hadn't had that loss of my mother and a girlfriend and people in my life, it wouldn't have given me that energy to go forward in a way. So even though it was painful, and I know obviously you just went through it, it obviously has made you the strong woman you are today. So that's the other piece that we're going to get to.
And I want to say something, John. I'm going to totally interject here. The
Please.
tears don't mean weakness.
No.
It's vulnerability. Yeah. And I want to show people it's okay. I didn't know this was going to happen. Obviously, it's real emotions that are there. When you love someone, it doesn't mean that you cry every time you speak about them. I don't always express emotions, but I talk about them very often. But for whatever reason today, it evoked these emotions. I'm not sure exactly why, but it did. So I'm just that's what happened.
But that's real. You're authentic, Renee, and you feel what you feel. We don't have a need to shut our feelings down or to cover them or
suppress or repress.
No, we don't need to. It be for real. And like you said, it's not weakness. It's part of who you are, and it is what it is. And so thank you, and I think thank you for being that vulnerable to go there and share, and then take us to where we're going to be going with your, how your life has turned.
Yeah, thank you, John. I appreciate that. I just wanted to touch on that because people say, "Oh no, she's crying," and like I said, it is real, it is raw, it is Renee, it is being vulnerable, it is being transparent, and that actually goes with the thing I wrote about. The real REAL is not REAL. I want to always be real.
That's right.
I want to always be me, because that's what people are going to migrate to. That's who they're going to, feel more when you are vulnerable and go, oh, you mean she's as real as me? She bleeds like I do. She gets emotional like I do. She feels frustrated sometimes too. Yes. All of those emotions. I'm as real as the next person is. And I go through the same feelings.
100%. And, it's like, no matter, us who speak and write and coach and, sometimes people get the feeling like, well, it's easy for you. No, it's like, I feel pain. I feel times I don't know what to do. There's times I don't have answers. There's times I'm not sure what the path is. There's been times where I've experienced all kinds of lack, economic lack, all kinds of lack, and you're struggling. And at the same time, that's part of human. We're all human. I mean, there's a song that somebody had out there. I don't even know who it was, but I'm only human. And I love the song because at the end of the day, it's like, no matter how strong we are, we're still human, and we still have weaknesses, and we still have moments of weakness, and that's okay. That's part of being who we are as humans, and it's okay to share that too, and not be, hey, look at me, I'm perfect, I don't got no flaws. Well, that ain't me. That ain't,
it ain't me either. It ain't me either.
We're doing the best we can. And just real quick, I'm going to take you to the next thing. There's a couple of friends on here, Ken, Dave, Dennis, and Nick. Welcome, and thank you for being part of this and listening to Renee share this, her powerful, from having no voice and losing her voice to find your voice, and her book. So take us forward. We have a little more time. Obviously we went through the beginning of the journey, the pain of the journey, but then there's the transformation that occurred, and that transformation that you went through that you now share, at both as a speaker, as a coach, as an author. Take us through that. in whichever form you want, Renee. Just take us through that, so we can get people to understand what's possible for them if they find their voice, like your book suggests.
Thank you so much. John, it's information is cheap. The transformation and the action is what really makes it happen. And it was following that, I say the popcorn trail, the journey, and coming through it. It was something that needs to be said, is that it was in losing my voice. That was the beginning of finding my voice.
Say that one more time. That's a great metaphor and a great way of looking at it.
It was in losing my voice. That was the beginning of the journey in finding my voice.
Very cool.
I believe that the physical loss of my voice manifested from the metaphoric loss of my voice in life. The people pleasing, the fear of judgment, the limiting beliefs, looking for outside validation for inner self-worth. All of those things, I believe, came to fruition while I was running through life. My dad used to say, stop and smell the flowers. I have rose bushes out front. One day before I was going to work in my corporate job, while he was still here, I remember him saying it. I ran to the bushes, the rose bushes, and I remember saying, okay, Dad, I'm stopping to smell the flowers. I'm like, I knew that wasn't what he meant. But it was like my best friend too. Sure. Slow down, Renee, slow down. I have to do this. I always had to do something, the next thing.
Right.
But you can't. You've got, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. I don't care if you're Elon Musk or whoever you are. You all have, each of us has the same 24 hours. I don't know why I picked him, but somebody that's out there in a big way.
Yeah.
But, it's
maybe somebody that doesn't slow down enough.
Maybe somebody, Elon, if you're listening to this, but it's somebody who really, we all need to take that time selfishly, not selfishly, and it's setting the healthy boundaries. We don't always know. There's not a playbook. When I remember back in the day, I'm dating myself, the Dr. Spock book. When you're bored, there's this Dr. Spock book. Yeah, I'm not talking about Star Wars or any of those shows, but it was a book that for rearing children, and you go through it. There's not this playbook because everybody and everybody's body is different. We respond and we react to things differently, to people, to everything, to stimuli. All of us, we're our own person. People always say, what makes you unique? You know what? I'm going to say me, my own experiences in life. It's through your experiences you find courage, which builds the confidence.
And you said, a couple of notes with that, both the uniqueness of you, and, it ain't just the words, but it's the action that you need to take. So talk about you, Renee. What was the action that did you learn to slow down a little bit? I know that's not easy because we're, but were you able to keep work or continue to keep working on that? Because it isn't like necessarily you solve it and then it's over for a lifetime. But no. So what was that process for you? Did you find a way to take that action, not just know what you needed to do because people were telling you and you were telling you, but you actually found a way to do it? Tell us a little bit about the steps.
Yeah. So it was slow going because I was still in corporate while I got my voice back. And when I went back to that job, then I made promises to everybody under the sun. My best friend, I promised God, whatever you believe in, God, source, universe, whatever you believe in. I made promises to the highest of high that I would be better, do better, slow down. And I did until I didn't.
Right.
And one of the chapters in my book is called Old Habits Die Hard. We go back to you touched on earlier. And we go back to our ways that we know the brain, goes to it wants to protect us. It wants to keep us safe. So we stay, you actually said we kind of retract. We go backwards into this is safe. I don't want to dip my toe in. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm afraid that fear, that false evidence appearing real because of something that we did that didn't go as we wanted. And we kind of go back into that chrysalis stage of a butterfly. You know, everything I do is based on the butterfly effect. We come into this life crawling, and then we go into this chrysalis stage where we, you know, are trying to transform into that beautiful butterfly. I love monarch butterflies. And that's part of our own journey. Everybody's chrysalis stage is going to be a little different because we are all different. And you talked also about the women helping women. When I was released from that corporate job, I was looking for a job myself, and this was a voluntary thing. And I went there because I was trying to build some more skills. And I ended up, they saw my energy, they felt my energy, and I ended up working there. It was nonprofit. I wasn't getting paid for it. It was voluntary, just voluntary work for them. So I was taking classes and teaching classes. And in my book, I also write, I'm always going to be a student of life, because to your answer earlier, it's still going on. I'm still evolving as we do. And a teacher in life, because the more I learn, the more I can impart and impact and empower the lives of others.
Tell me a little bit, you know, I read in some of your stuff, Renee, and some of the things you talk about some of the values that drive your life, because you speak about those and you speak about it on your page and when you reach out to people. Share what Renee's values are. What are the values that project you to the world?
Something that I put in my hashtags, I run a Facebook group, and I'm on, as I said, all social media platforms, is trust, have faith, believe, never give up, and be you. And those are values I live by. Don't try to be somebody else. This life is about you. You might see something you like in somebody else, but you've got to, that was another quote I did today. John, you'll look at my quote today, you'll see it.
I will,
it was to put your own spin of oil on it. Put your own, you know, my quote was like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just put your own spin of who you are to it. There's only so many ways you could say something or do something, right? You've got to be you in what you do and you bring to the table. That's going to be the authenticity of it. It's going to be you. And when you're yourself and you have to worry about what people say or think, they're not spending as much time on you as you think they are. They're involved in their own life, but we all think that all eyes are on us. And oh my gosh, what's going to happen?
Well,
do what you want to do.
You know, that's so true. You say that, because it's like, you know, too many times people get caught up thinking that everybody's paying attention to what you do, what you say, and most people are too busy paying attention to themselves, as they should. You know, it's like, as a speaker, it's the same thing. When you get up, when I was a kid, I was as a teenager, I was so shy to speak in front of 5 people. I would stutter because that's how shy I was. So going on that journey, but you know, when you're on a stage and you're speaking, you realize if you take the interest off yourself, the attention off yourself, and realize it's not about me, it's about them. It's about me sharing with them, helping them, doing something for them. Then you don't feel nervous anymore. You don't feel self-focused, because you realize the purpose isn't about me. The purpose is to do something for that audience and that group of people. Not, are they judging me? Are they looking at me? Is my hair good? None of that matters. It's about what can I give them? And that's why I'm there to do that. So you know that as a speaker as well. So I think your point is well taken.
Thank you for saying that, John. It's really true. I ran a workshop on Friday. I'm doing workshops every 3 weeks. For anybody interested, let me know. I'll make sure I share that with you. It's to real, and it was actually, believe it or not, it was on confidence, confidence and courage. So this timing of this interview is pretty incredible. And that workshop was great. And the thing is, it wasn't about me. To your point of not feeling nervous, I was like, well, you know what? I know what I'm going to be saying. I know what I'm going to be doing. I had everything said. I gave people the worksheets of what they needed. And it was interactive, because everything I like to do is interactive, because I like to share what I know and to share what I can do to pour into other people as well. Like I said, a student and a teacher. So that's what it's about. When you share that, you're not nervous, you're not scared. because you're there to serve in a greater way with a greater purpose and a stronger voice. And John, I'm going to turn the tables on you for a moment because
Right.
you're like, no, don't do it. I'm
No,
going to
go
do
ahead.
it.
Go
I'm
ahead.
going to, I'm
Go
going to
ahead.
do it.
I love it. Go
Because
ahead.
yeah, I don't know if anybody's ever done this with you, but I'm going to do it because I can. You are a producer. You produce movies, beautiful films. It takes courage. There's a cast of characters. There's a whole movie.
You
People
could say that again. There is a
yeah,
cast.
characters in many ways.
Yes, in
Yes.
many ways.
Yeah, the actors and actresses, yes, that portray characters. I'm gonna. That's a double entendre that I'm gonna touch on as well. You're getting choked up on that one. But my point is that as you produce, you're putting yourself out there. You're putting your voice, your reputation out there to produce something that you really hope and pray is going to be a go because people have believed in you. The know, like, and trust factor was there, time and energy and investments. How do you deal with that? What do you do?
Well, there's a few things. I'll just kind of, there's things that I kind of live by that help me in those situations. And one is a belief I have. There's a couple of deep beliefs I have, and one deep belief is there's always a solution. So in producing a movie or in life, whenever there's a problem or a challenge, whichever word you like to use, there's always a solution. And if you focus your attention on the problem or the challenge, then you waste your time on that. Once you've acknowledged the problem and the challenge, now the question is, let's put all our time on the solution because we need the solution. So, when you're producing a movie or you're running a company or whatever like that, it's all about what's your objectives, what's your goals. Your goal in my case is to produce a movie on time, on budget, a good movie, have a good time with the people while we're doing it. Those are all objectives. And knowing what your objective is, you focus on always solving the objective and not letting the things get in your way. There's always going to be challenges come up. Things are going to go wrong all the time. And it doesn't matter because you're focused on my objective is to get to a finished film that's all those things. And so my goal is to be a leader in that process and to help other people as a leader to show them the way. So when people are freaking out, I got to be calm. When people are like going, this is impossible, I got to say, no, it's possible. So I have to be the voice of the objective, the voice of the solution, while maybe, in those moments, their weaknesses are coming out. And I can acknowledge that. But my goal is to not feed into it or not to participate in it because I have a bigger purpose. And my purpose is to achieve my objective. And that's what I do.
I love it. Absolutely. And that is part of finding your voice and using your voice. And when you said when people are freaking out, what do? You've got to, be the calm in the storm.
That's right.
And I spoke about the cast of characters.
Oh, yeah.
This is the double entendre that I was speaking about. We have a cast of characters. We are the main character in our own life. If you could step out of yourself from an objective standpoint, it's not always easy. I can say that because I don't always find it easy for myself personally. And say, okay, what do I need to do and who do I need to be so I can become the person who I want to show up as? And I don't mean showing up in the REEL. I mean the real you, who you want to be and what steps you need to take and what information you need. Knowledge is power, but when you act on that knowledge, that is the empowerment part of it.
Yeah, and it really is that action because whatever field it is, if you can read 400 diet books, but if you don't do certain things, you won't lose weight. You can read 400 exercise or health books, but if you don't take action, you won't get healthy. It's always about, you need some information, you need some knowledge, you need those things. But then if you don't take it and apply it and keep applying it and learn what you're doing, what's working, what's not working, shift, pivot, find another way, you're not going to get to the objective because you're going to get trapped up in your head with a lot of information, and information isn't results. Information is just information.
Absolutely. And inaction is also an action.
Yes. You got to take action and you got to take that and put it into action. And every time you do, You may not get your goal instantly, never get it instantly, but you'll take a step in the right direction because you took that action. You know, if you're afraid of speaking and you go take a class on speaking, if you're afraid of getting outside your comfort zone and you take one of your coaching sessions, that person now has taken a step on the path to getting to where they want to be. It ain't going to happen overnight. They're going to have to take a lot more steps. They're going to have to take a lot more action. And there's going to be times they're going to doubt themselves. And there's going to be times they're going to want to quit and go, I don't want to do this. But if you don't quit and you keep going forward, you get there. But if you quit, you'll never get there. It's that simple. And that's kind of, I'm sure that's a little bit of some of the stuff you know, from when I see your stuff, you know, you bring to your audience and the people that you coach and teach. So Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about, take a little further with it from me.
Yeah. And that is absolutely what I coach, what I teach. I love speaking, whether it's in a corporation, because I come from corporate America, and it's about taking the inspired action and to be that leader. When, you know, leaders, they develop leaders. You can't just lead. It's not just about leading yourself. It's about leading others and teaching them and being there. When I was in corporate America, I made sure that I was with my team, with the people on the floor, to develop them and to find where their opportunities are, to take their strengths and to use it to help them in the way that they needed to help catapult them with their opportunities in each area. So that is something that really supported them. And I love doing speaking engagements and interviews because it's about sharing our voices that we can impact others in a great way. And I also wanted to mention in my book, because we've been talking about it so much. So you saw it in the beginning, John showed it. It's called Finding Your Voice, Unlock Your Chains and Unleash Your Greatness. There it is. Beautiful, John. Yes. That is Newport Beach, California. That is not doctored up in any way. I was literally there on Newport Beach. I took that dress out a couple of days before. And I keep saying, thankfully, that wave crashed behind me rather than on top of me, because that picture would have looked way different.
Yes,
it would have been a completely different picture. So I'm grateful that I had somebody there that I walked up to a stranger incidentally on that. And I said, I wrote a book. I need some pictures. Can you help me? And he said, yes. So that's how that picture happened. It was many pictures and I chose one. So it was great. In the book, it's really like a journal within a book. They're short chapters. I chose 11 for the divine number of 11 for those spiritual people out there. And it's an 83-page book, which 83 is 11. Again, I couldn't plan that if I tried. But what I did in the book, after each chapter, I have what's called a takeaway section. I'm going to show if I can do that. Yep, there we go.
It's available on Amazon. So
it's available on Amazon. There we go. And there we go. It's the takeaway section. So I leave like 3 to 4 line pages. Why do I do that? It's not to fill up all of them at the first time you go through this. It's when you pick up the book, whether it's a week later or you do it each night, you pick up a different exercise after you read the book. And you see where you are at the first point you answered the question and where you are now. There's a gal that I just recently met on a Zoom call, and I didn't even know who she was. She said, Renee, somebody recommended your book to me. And I said, well, that's great. She said, I have so many books at home. She goes, yours is on my nightstand, and I do an exercise each night. And that has helped me so much in my own journey. I said, that's fantastic. You don't know how what you've done is going to impact somebody else's life. So my point with this book is that you can go back to those exercises and see what date. Today's 8/28 when we're doing this interview, August 28th, 2022. Where were you when you answered that question on this date? 3 months later, a week later, 4 months, 6 months, a year later. Whenever you choose to go back, you can see, oh my goodness, I was at this part in my life, this part of my journey when I first answered this. Because we never give ourselves enough credit from how far we've come. We just look at those REELs of other people and say, oh, I'm never going to be able to do that. Oh, I'm not that person. How am I going to ever achieve that? That just brings you back to the not good enough. That brings you back to, I'm never going to be able to do that. That brings you back to not living courageously. So stop the scrolling, stop the self-talk, which is negative, and be who you are. That's one of the biggest values. Be you.
Absolutely. Just want to shout out to Erin, who's a friend of yours and ours online. Erin saying hi to you. She said, hello, beautiful Renee.
Thank you, Erin.
And a friend, David of mine, Greenberg. Hi, David. Now, the other thing that you talk about, and I just kind of want to reiterate, echo it, is like you talk about always be learning, that you're learning. And I think that's something, I've done close to maybe 50 movies. And, I always say every movie I do, I learn a lot again. And I always look at things that I could do better. I did this, I could do it, I could do it differently. So I'm always challenging myself to improve, never feeling like, well, I've done so much, now I can rest. Well, there's no rest in that's not, I mean, there's no benefit to rest in that part of the world, because it's always good to keep growing. And so the way you grow is by learning, and the way you grow is by being, not critical, but aware of things that you can improve. You can say, all right, I did this, but I could do this better next time. And maybe I should have did this. And I learned from that experience. So we're all in that learning curve. And I think that's what you're encouraging people to go from where they are to find their voice, to improve their voice, to use their voice, to grow into who they can be. So it's a lifelong process. It's not a
Absolutely.
process. It's not a process that ends. You got your voice.
No.
Right? It's
absolutely, John. I want to add something to that. It definitely is an ongoing evolvement, because as human beings, we're always learning, always be learning. And something that I recently did about 4 weeks ago, I'm just so grateful. My friend Vaughn, he's just incredible. He did my audio. I released the audio, and his studio is close to where I live. And it's Von Foy. For anybody interested, I can make that connection if you're interested in doing an audio. I released the audio version of my book about 4 weeks ago for a gal that was told she may never speak again, to be able to stand in a soundproof studio and release her voice onto the world in an audio book. People, in the beginning of the audio, I kind of kid around. I say, people used to come up to me and say, who's going to do your voiceover for your book? And I say, did you read the title? It's called Finding Your Voice. It's going to be me. Who could it be? And so when you click on the beginning of the audio, and it's not on Audible at this point, it's an audio, a link that literally just takes you right to the book. I mean, you download that.
And where is that? Where do they find that?
I'll put all the links in the comments. I'll make sure I do that. And also connect with me on my link tree. I'll put my link tree up there too, because it's got the Amazon link. It's got the Audible link, not Audible, the audio version of the book. I've got a complimentary 30-minute consultation if anyone wants to connect. I've also got a Facebook group of over 800 people. Most of them are entrepreneurs. It's Finding Your Voice, Unlocking the Greatness of Entrepreneurs and Coaches, that I do lives in weekly at 11 a.m. Pacific. A lot of things. All my links on social media are there, as well as YouTube. So every which way to connect with me is on my link tree. So I will make sure that is in there as well, and the connection. Yes.
Yeah, we'll put it on the bottom of the Facebook Live, and then it'll also, we can put it on the comments on my YouTube channel, Live Courageously. So
great.
We're coming close to the end, Renee. It's been I think we went on a little bit of a unexpected roller coaster ride here of all kinds of stuff.
This is the only kind of roller coaster I will get on. I'm not a roller coaster, the physical roller coaster, but John, I'll go on this roller coaster with you any day.
To live courageously, but not on a roller coaster. That's all right. That's cool. That's not a problem. There's some things that probably are better not to do occasionally. But to wrap up, thank you, Renee. Thank you so much for sharing your story, your journey of losing your voice and finding your voice, and all the stuff that you encourage people and encourage them to find their voice, John, being that voice for others. But I want you to wrap it up, because I want you to share whatever you need to say. A couple of people are just saying, thank you, Renee. You're awesome. Renee is delightful. Dave said, Nick said, but I want to let you take the wrap up of this, and then I'll wrap up the show at the end.
Well, John, first of all, a heartfelt, gracious, and grateful thank you for having me on your show. As soon as I had popped into the one you were doing a few weeks ago, I'm like, I want to be on your show. I know you. I got your message, your cell. I'm like, I'm messaging you. I knew this was going to be powerful and power-filled. And something that we both have used, the word encourage. The word encourage has encourage. It is encourage. With encourage, you find the strength. You find that resilience. You find that belief. The word believe has the word L-I-E in it. It's lies that we tell ourselves. But I want you to change that story. Flip the switch. It's not always easy because we're programmed to keep playing that tape again and again and again, but then we're not moving forward and stepping into that courage. So live courageously, believe in yourself, have faith and trust the process, that this is a life. My friend Chris Salem always says, trust the process. So shout out to him. But it is trusting, trust, have faith and believe, and never give up, and always be you. So thank you so much for having me on your show. And as you say in LA in your movies, that's a wrap.
That's great. That's great. Thank you, Renee. Yeah, I'm so blessed to have you on the show, and appreciate that you've reconnected, saw my thing, and said it, reached out to me, and I'm glad you were able to be on here and share your message of finding your voice, and that message of and courage with everybody here today. So it's been great. I'm sure people are going to love it, and we'll do more in the future. So thank you so much, Renee.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Very cool. Best love. Take care. And thank you, everybody, for watching this another episode of Live Courageously. As you can see, I've been one of the things I say, and the reason I did this show is to encourage everybody to be courageous. And Renee just took you through her experience in her life, and what a powerful story of the courage that she has and continues to inspire others with. I just feel blessed that I say I'm one of the richest men on the planet, and not financially, that's for sure, but I am in the amount of people who are like Renee and courageous folks that have been I've been blessed to have in my life, and that I bring onto the show every week, and I keep meeting all the time. And it's just, I'm going to need a couple more lifetimes to be able to get all the people I know on this show, that's for sure. So anyway, thank you, everybody. Once again, the message is, please live courageously, no matter what you're facing in life, whatever difficulties, whatever fears, whatever challenges that are hitting you, that you have a choice. You always have a choice as to how you respond to them. And the choice is to step forward and live courageously. So until we meet again on the next show, take care. Make your life a masterpiece, and God bless.